Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming back to our channel, Living to Do, where we review the TV show Married at First Sight, Season 13, Episode 4, One Day Down, a Lifetime to Go. First, we're going to start off with talking about Brett and Ryan. Brett and Ryan. We see Brett and Ryan, they're talking in their hotel room after their wedding. Brett is wearing her dress and Ryan is helping her unbutton or unzip her wedding gown. They talk briefly about the tennis shoes that he bought her for the gift, and that she ended up wearing at her wedding on the dance floor, so they came in handy. And Ryan didn't even think about her wearing the shoes on the wedding day, but they were white and they looked great with her dress, and they were useful. So indirectly, he was thoughtful. They seem to get along. Ryan, I like him a lot better than I did before. He snuggled up to Brett in bed. Looks like he gravitated more towards her while they were lying in bed, and that's a good sign. The next day, I believe it was, Brett asked or told Ryan that she didn't feel like that they were strangers, and Ryan didn't say anything back. I don't know if that was the editing. He seemed comfortable with her, but he didn't seem to respond to what she was saying. The next day, they meet up with each other's family or friends, and in this case, Ryan met with Brett's parents. It seemed kind of boring. It seemed like that Ryan didn't do much talking. In fact, when Brett's mother asked Ryan if he had any questions that he might want to know of Brett, Ryan said he didn't have any questions. I don't know, that's like a red flag. There's not one thing you want to ask, not one thing you can think of. Well, but he's talkative to Ryan, so that's good. Brett met with Ryan's sister, mom, and a friend, and Ryan's sister said that his other girlfriends, they were more like props, and I guess you're never going to get anywhere with those fake girls. I guess, ditzy blondes or people with no depth, and apparently they figure that Brett has more depth than the girls that he has been going out with. We show them getting ready to go on their honeymoon. We find out they're all going to the Florida Keys for their honeymoon. That's a big deal, I guess. I guess they can't fly too far out of the country due to the pandemic, and so they're going to the Florida Keys. And we find that Brett is a nervous traveler. Somehow they get to fly business class. I don't know if the rest of the group were able to fly business, but they flew business, so good for them. And hopefully we'll see more. I'll have more to talk about them while they're at their honeymoon. So far, not too much with them. So next we'll move on to Bao and Johnny. When we see that when they first enter their room, and we saw this on the last episode, that they had a red bedspread. It looked like a red Asian-inspired bedspread. It's supposed to, I think, signify fertility, and looks like both sides of this family, or at least Johnny's side of their family, they talk about having children right away. So we do learn that Bao snores, and Johnny was nice about it. He says, "You do make these little sounds. It's called snoring." And Bao was a little bit embarrassed by that. And it's so funny because you think people that are that tiny and frail looking, then you wouldn't think they would snore, but Bao snores. Okay, so one interesting thing about them, they uh, Bao remembers that she has Johnny's phone number still in her phone. And she sent him a text and it went to Johnny's phone. And that's the first time in Married in First Sight history where the two couples already had each other's phone number. But Val remembers that she was trying to make plans with Johnny about regarding their last text, and Johnny ghosted her, and she said she was ghosted by her husband, which was cute. I mean, I didn't back then. Johnny said he didn't see her as like a potential person to date. They go off to bed. They seem comfortable. Johnny met with Bao's friends, and he found out that the gift that he gave her didn't go over too well, and that she didn't really like it, and I think he was hurt by that. He said that she overacted regarding the gifts. Bao met with Johnny's mom and aunts. Johnny's mother mentioned that she wants a grandson. I mean, I just think it's so funny that their families jumped the gun that fast. These people haven't even known each other 24 hours and you're talking about babies. And Johnny's aunt, she even goes deeper and says that maybe Johnny could be a Mr. Mom, and the aunts and the mom laugh about it, but Bao doesn't laugh at it. I don't think she found that particularly funny, or that's the way they edited it. The way her head was bent when that was said, it didn't go over well with her. During the meeting, Bao asked Johnny's mother about Johnny's dad, and she just calmly explained that he moved to California when Johnny was little. No more explanation. It didn't sound like she didn't mention divorce or anything like that, or they would just edit it that way. She just calmly said, "Oh well, he moved to California." It wasn't like a neighbor, you know. You don't up and just move out away from your family. They cut to Johnny talking about his dad and his reluctance to come and be with his family while his son gets married, and it just upset Johnny. He said he's just stuck in his 1970s advice. He's just old school that way, and probably very traditional. Once they get back from meeting with their parents, they pack their bags for their honeymoon to the Florida Keys, and Bao, she packs by an Excel spreadsheet, which is kind of weird. I mean, who does that? Even Johnny thought that was strange, but she's very efficient, I guess, with getting everything she needs packed. Once they're going, I guess they're sleeping at their hotel in Texas for 2 nights because they're going to bed for a second night, and while they're preparing to go to bed, Johnny's at the bed. And Bao asked, why are you going to sleep in this bed? And, well, that was kind of weird. I mean, there was 2 rooms to their suite, but she just made him feel like he wasn't welcome in that bed. They had a discussion about that. They also had a discussion about sex, at least Johnny brought it up. He asked Bao what kind of sex was she into, which, you would think that's a normal question. Kind of thought that that Johnny just wanted some type of visual in his head for his fantasy. But it was an adult conversation. Bao said that she can tell a lot by how someone kisses. She can see, I guess, their level of how they feel about her by their kisses. And she said she can tell a lot about a kiss. Johnny is funny. He mentions that he is into vanilla sex. Okay, Johnny, that will be the topic this week. Vanilla sex, which is he's not into anal. Okay, a lot of people aren't. He says that's where poop goes. I just never thought about hearing this type. Okay, next we're going to talk about Rachel and Jose. We learned that Jose would have had sex with his wife on the first night together. That's good. It sounds like he's attracted to his wife. We also see that he's helping her out with her dress, and shows that she has 2 tattoos. Rachel doesn't seem like that type of person that has tattoos, but I guess you can't tell these days. Their evening was uneventful, I would say. The next day, Jose meets with Rachel's mother and her friend. And Rachel looks just like her mother. In fact, I think her mother's even prettier than Rachel. Rachel's mother and friend tell Jose a little something about Rachel. And the little something is that she's messy. And when they said that, the look on Jose's face, he didn't look like that's something he wanted to deal with. He seemed like he didn't like it just by his facial expression, which could also be editing. They're always trying to be clever. The friend and Rachel's mother mentioned that Rachel's car is messy. They said to Jose, we can't wait till you see her car. So I can't wait either. I want to know what it looks like. Rachel meets with Jose's parents, including his stepmom, Julie. Julie's a character. She was a character last episode. She has a great personality. The parents and the stepmom mention that Jose is a real stickler about his credit, his FICO score. He's very extreme with his finances. And Rachel tells them that she's not good with all that saving. I guess she needs work in that area. And Ryan's the person to do that. Not much happened when their whole storyline so far is not that interesting. They do go back to their hotel room and they pack for their honeymoon to the Florida Keys. And as they're packing, Jose, I guess he's taking some condoms that were provided by the show and he's packing them. And Rachel's like, oh no, we don't need that because that's not how you make babies. It's just baby brain, just baby on the mind. And to be so conservative and always planning for his future, you would think that Jose would want to practice safe sex, especially with someone he doesn't know that well. They fly off to the Florida Keys and they have their bedroom made up with, most of the couples have rose petals on their bed, and they're I guess a lot of the couples find that romantic or they like that. One odd thing is, while Jose and Rachel were getting ready for bed, Jose says he wanted to brush Rachel's teeth. And that was strange. And Rachel seemed creeped out about that. She was like, ugh. She didn't like that at all. Brush somebody else's teeth, a grown person? Yeah, that's a turnoff. All right, we'll move on to Gil and Mira. While they're laying in bed on their honeymoon night, Gil is sharing with his new wife, Mira, that his father was murdered, and Mira says that her father was also murdered. They both had, they're a product of, well, they have a murdered, they both have a murdered father. Gil was present when his father was murdered. Somebody came in their house and fired some shots. They took his father to the hospital. The doctor came out and said that, his father had passed away. And Gil mentioned that when he was told this information, he just said to the doctor, Okay, thank you. He didn't know what to do. The poor guy was like 14 years old. He was in shock. Um, but it was several years ago, and he's able to talk about it so freely, and you could see that he must have done the work on it because he's not getting upset. Not that it's a bad thing to get upset, but he's open to talk about it freely. Whereas Mirla is not so open to talk about it on her wedding night. And kind of understand that is your wedding night. You don't want that downer. Her dad was killed by a family member. He was stabbed. And of course, that was hard. And it was only a few years back in 2015. So unfortunately, they have that in common. At one point, they're trying to go to sleep, or Mirla's trying to go to sleep and Gil asked if she would like a foot rub, and she turned it down. And I was like, who turns down a foot rub? But whatever, Mirla. I don't think you exactly deserve Gil anyway. And did you notice how thick Gil's thighs were? They couldn't get any thicker. That guy's a big boy. He's thicker than a Snicker. He's huge. I like him. And you know what? Mira always talked about she doesn't like to wear makeup, but while they were laying in bed, it looked like she still had makeup on because her face doesn't normally look. It looked really pretty while she was laying in bed. Because when she was out speaking with her, or with her in-laws, or actually Gil's friends, she looked much older. There, she didn't look like she had makeup on, and she actually looks older than Gil. They said that Gil gets a little excited, can get a little loud when he's excited, happy, excited. Well, then Gil spoke with Mirla's friends, Juan, Elliot, and Dion. And one of the friends, I believe it was Elliot, said that, as long as, Gil behaves himself and there's no friction or whatever, and there's nothing that he has to step into, then he's all right with him. And I'm just thinking, you're telling this to big old Gil, like Gil should be afraid of you? But I think Gil was very respectful to her friends. They seemed to get along okay. He remembered their names. That was a good thing. Merla said when she got back to the bedroom with Gil, she talked a little about herself, and she said that she throws tantrums, which, yeah, she seems like she has to have things her way or the highway. So I was like, yeah, I bet you throw tantrums, Mirla. She also told Gil that she's money driven. Gil said he's not money driven. And we noticed she complains about so much. They were trying to pack, and they got some gifts from Married at First Sight, and she complained about the hat she was given. Everything that she was given, she complained about. Miller complains about everything. When they get to the Florida Keys to have their honeymoon, she complained about the pool, the grass. Everything was so bad. It didn't look like a place to have a honeymoon. It looked like an elderly place, senior citizen center. Gil was a good sport. He always tried to look at the bright side of things, but she was just negative Nancy. And then she had the nerve to say that she's easy to please. Gil told her she was high maintenance. That's right, she sure is. We'll see on the next episodes how she gets along with him during the rest of their honeymoon stay. Okay, lastly, let's talk about... Okay, the last couple is Zach and Michaela. Zach is he's very talkative. He seems very comfortable with his wife, Michaela. When she gets into her pajamas, he notices her body. He likes her body, and she starts doing a little dance, like a little twerk move. They eventually get into bed and they cuddle as they sleep, as they slept, and they seem like the chemistry is really on with these two, for now anyway. The next morning, they have a sit-down little breakfast, it looks like, and she's sitting there. Her hair's not combed, and she knows the cameras are rolling. Later, Zach meets with her sisters, all three of them, and they say that that she's the younger sister, and they protect her, and they just want the best for her, like any other family member would. He's very respectful. He listens to them. They might click in the end. I mean, it's a family. They seem like two solid families joining together, which is great. Michaela meets with Zach's parents and his brothers. Um, Zach's dad asked how she would deal with conflict, and she starts talking about her dad, and she explains that her dad was killed by a drunk driver, and they're all sad, and they're kind of tearing up, and she says that's why he wasn't at the wedding, and they're all saying that they're sorry. And she goes and she appreciates Zach's dad asking her to dance, I guess, on the daughter-father dance. And then they show a clip of her dancing with Zach's father, and that was so sweet. Zach's dad doesn't have daughters, and it was just, he just took the initiative to ask her to dance on her wedding, and that was so thoughtful. I just kind of family I think Zach comes from, just good people. Later, Michaela goes and gets her hair braided for her honeymoon, and it looks good. They go to the Florida Keys for their honeymoon, and they have a little clip of them in bed, and we know now that they had sex during their honeymoon stay. Looks like on the second night. Zach seemed really a man about it, and she was a little giggly under the sheets, but it was cute. Actually, I liked her then the most. Zach said that if the rest of his nights are like that he just experienced with her, he's really going to enjoy his wife or his marriage. Though it seems like the issue with Zach at their honeymoon is maybe he caught COVID. Looks like he has to keep his distance. That's what it seems like, or they made it seem like. So we'll have to see next week on episode 5. So that's all for now. But if you would please consider subscribing to this channel. It's new, and if you could help make it grow, like it, share it, and hit the bell notifications to know when we drop another video. We really would appreciate it here on Living to Do. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll talk to each other next week. Goodbye.